There's a part about the story of Cain and Abel that most people miss, myself included, because now tell me why all along I've been thinking that the story ends after God punished Cain. I came to find out that the story actually gets more interesting after the judgment was passed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Judges chapter 4. Now, because I know you know the backstory, I'm going to go right into the judgment. Now, God went to confront Cain and he judged him with two punishments. The first one, he would toil the ground, but it would not yield crops for him. And two, he would become a restless wanderer. The Bible continues to tell us that Cain moved from the presence of the Lord, went out of the Garden of Eden, and settled in a land called Nod, east of the Garden of Eden. I looked up the Hebrew meaning of the word Nod, and it means a wanderer. So in short, Cain settled in a land exactly matching the punishment that he was given. But then, watch what happens next, because it is very contradicting. The Bible says, when he went into Nod, he started building a city. And when I read that, I was like, it seems like now Cain is winning, because God told him he would become a restless wanderer. Here he is, he's building himself a legacy, he's building a city. So he's going to settle, he will no longer wander. But then, there's nowhere I found the Bible mentioning that Cain found peace. And now, something very interesting happens. Cain is said to have 7 generations. And the climax of Cain's family line is a guy called Lamech. He is the first person we are seeing to have married 2 wives. The Bible says in verse 29, he had 2 wives, Ada and, let me confirm so that I don't say my own things. Verse 19, he married 2 women, one named Ada and the other Zillah. And these 2 wives bore him sons and a daughter. And the Bible says these guys were livestock owners. They were musicians. They used to play the harp and flute. And they were also great craftsmen in works of iron and bronze. So with Lamech, the climax of Cain's family line, we are seeing the start of technology and innovation. But then, something very weird about Lamech is said, that one day he went and killed a young man, and then he went back home and called his 2 wives, and he was like, today I have killed a young man. And since God said that whoever kills Cain he will be avenged 7 times, then I will be avenged 77 times. Remember my friend I told you, the 7th generation of Cain. What does number 7 mean in the Bible? The number of fulfillment. And soon we are seeing it evolving, because Cain, his forefather or his ancestor, he killed, but at least he was remorseful. But for Lamech, he's boasting about it. But then suddenly the Bible shifts before it concludes, and it introduces Seth, the 3rd son of Adam. And the Bible says that God gave Eve Seth in place of Abel. And the last line of that chapter before it concludes, the Bible says, and at that time, men began to call on the name of the Lord. Are you seeing the contrast here, my friends? Cain's descendants learned how to build a civilization. They are remembered for what they built. For Seth's descendants, they are remembered for whom they sought. They sought the Lord. And it got me thinking. Look at the modern world we have today. We are in an era where we have more knowledge, more technology, and more innovations than any other generation before us. But yet, we seem to be less dependent on God, my friends. So, as I conclude, Cain's descendants learned how to build a civilization. Seth's descendants, they learned how to seek the Lord. So I bring to you this question, my friend, for you to reflect. What legacy are you building? See you in the next and the final series of chapter 4 of Genesis. Stay blessed.